Man, I guess got bit by the typo bug. It still says 2024 in the title of that. At least I got the show number right. So we've got Joe Mannarino with us today, and we're going to do a preview for the upcoming auction that's just right around the corner here. So let me get Joe in here and get us started. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Okay, Bill, how you doing?
Not too bad. How many times have you written 2024 down instead of 2025?
Just 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, this is about the 12th time I think in the last 2 or 3 days. It just doesn't feel right.
No, not yet.
Well, welcome to the show. So we've got the preview to run through, and obviously there's some good stuff in here as always. I think. I mean, do you have any kind of opening thoughts about this signature auction as compared to some of the recent ones that we've previewed at the tail
Well,
end?
this one is going to be a smaller auction. I think during our last preview, we discussed the fact that because of the timing of the auctions, this was one of the first auctions where the deadline for the next auction occurred before the actual auction ended. Then you've got the holiday, and it's right after the holiday. So there's X number of days less. And a lot of people don't like consigning until they know how they did in the previous auction. You know, whether they bought something, whether they didn't, how much they made. You know, there's a lot of things go into it. So as opposed to a standard auction, which has been running between 1,300 and 1,400 items, I think the whole auction's 910 items.
Right. I think it's like 425 art lots this time around.
Exactly. So, now we'll find out when people go, oh, you need less items, it'll be a shorter day. You'll see that'll be, just keep everybody invigorated, and we'll see.
Was it that way last January? I guess I don't recall.
No, last January was a pretty big auction. It really depends on whether the auction ends before the previous auction, and for the deadline, I should say.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And of course, you had both the last two Wednesday auctions fell on Christmas and New Year's. They got pushed to the Thursday end date instead. So yeah, it was definitely a peculiar holiday season for auction.
And even like retailers will tell you this Christmas, because of where it fell, there were a lot less retail selling days than there usually is also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
so other than that, this auction has got, first of all, it's January 9th through the 12th. Every session begins at 12 o'clock. We do have, more Dave Mandel items. We have more Roger Hill items. We have some really good items throughout, I think. And as usual, there's always something that breaks out of the pack right from the beginning. I mean, last time that Liefeld page went for over $900,000. This time, it seems the breakout star is the Milgram Amazing Spider-Man 194, the first appearance of the Black Cat. I mean, it's a good place to start.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, why don't we jump into that? And I mean, as a cover, of course, this is one that I don't know, anybody that's in between their mid 40s to their mid 70s, it's just a very memorable cover, right? I mean, it stood out, the colors popped, it was the introduction of a new character, but in a lot of ways though, it's just, I don't know why, when I think of Spidey covers, this is the easiest one to always remember because it was just unique in a lot of ways. And you could say that about a lot of Spidey covers, but this one does stand out.
No, and the other thing that's great about this cover is, as it says in the description, because of the way it was colored, you didn't really see a lot of the little cross hatching and the finer work that Milgram put into this cover. And on the black and white, it just looks beautiful. I mean, he framed it beautifully with the black to the right and using the costume and the shadow to balance it on the left. He did a beautiful job. I mean, the story and more importantly, the Black Cat's become one of the great Spider-Man characters, obviously. She is one of those, unique characters that is sometimes a villain, sometimes a heroine, sometimes a love interest. Sometimes she's working behind the scenes against Spider-Man. Sometimes she's working behind the scenes for him. She's crossed over into other medium. She's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. And, interestingly enough, when Marv Wolfman, needed a villain for Spider-Woman, he came up with the Black Cat. And, the story behind it is that, he went to Dave Cockrum. He did a sketch of what he thought the costume should be. They approached Pollard, who was going to do the interiors, and to do a cover. Stan or Marv did not like the Pollard cover and had Al do a cover. And we reached out to Al, and he was gracious enough to give us his thoughts on how he created it, and using the sketch and everything else by Cockrum. So and the consigner has been gracious enough, because of Al's support, to offer Al a percentage of the proceeds for this sale. And he's also talking about making a nice contribution, because it's doing so much better than he thought, to a charity. So, there's a lot going on. The price is already at what, $360,000? I checked it not long ago, I guess.
No, $432 with the buyer's premium.
Yeah, there we go. So
Exactly.
We're off to the races. And it's unique when you get the first appearance on the cover and we have the cover. That doesn't always happen with the first appearance of a character, as you know.
Do the Cockrum's original drawings exist out there? Are we aware of that?
I've never seen them.
Okay.
I'm only going by what Al told me, but that's also been described by other people that's the way it went down, most notably Marv.
Mm-hmm. And it does note in the description for the auction that at the consignor's direction, a portion of the proceeds from this lot will be paid to Al Milgrom.
Mm-hmm.
Nicely done by the consignor on that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Bravo.
I mean, you get a lot like that and you don't know. I mean, it could go 150,000 or it can be where it's at right now. You can't tell, right? You don't know how many heartstrings it's going to pull, nostalgia wise, first appearance wise, all of that. So,
we've talked about it before. There are certain things that image wise, I don't know if it's just about, what it is, or whether or not it's it strikes that nostalgia chord, but people on the fringe, decide to come in and they want it. And it's not always within our hobby. And we've talked about some, high-end pieces that have gone, they're collectors. They just don't have time to be involved in the hobby all the time, but they've got the means to go after what they want. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think is happening here, and I hope it continues.
Hey, it'll be interesting to see where it ends up.
Yeah,
obviously, I'll be tuned in. So next up, Kirby. Right, we got Kirby Royer, Silver Surfer, graphic novel cover, one of the more memorable Kirby Surfer images, and this. We always say the edge to edge when something's edge to edge. This literally doesn't leave any space left to question. When they were coming up with the composition for this piece, it's stunning. Even with the cityscape crammed in the bottom there, it all still works and gives you perspective on what the story's about.
Yeah, this is an iconic book. I remember when this book came out, and there was a lot of press about it. It was an unusual book because it wasn't like the Silver Surfer involving the Fantastic Four per se. It's more about the Silver Surfer, his origins, Galactus and everything else. And, there's a lot of stories about this book. Allegedly, there was interest from Hollywood for a movie, and this was supposed to be, the synopsis of what they had in mind, and that's why it was being prepared. Also, this was going to be Kirby's last book at Marvel. He owed them X number of pages, and doing this as a graphic novel gave him the ability to do a lot more pages than normal, and then he was done. The interesting part about it is, here's Kirby, Sinnott. They rejoined, reunited the Star team, and Stan decides, no, we want to appeal to a broader audience because it's a graphic novel. I want a painted cover. So he turns Kirby's drawing over to Earl Norham, who does the finished painting, and that's what's on the published cover. So this was not the art for the published cover.
Right, exactly. But still, I mean, I didn't check. It's twice up.
Oh yeah,
That's
I believe, yeah.
Such a spectacular image. I just love it.
Yeah.
Well, so where is this one at? 105 or 125 with the premium?
Okay. Yeah, and considering what it is, I think that's a low price going in.
Definitely. Why, Marvel should put this into some kind of trade cover at some point, right? And use it beyond.
It's been published in like the Kirby Collector, and things like that. I've seen it in different articles. I've seen it. Many people comment on it. People love to talk about the story behind the issue, but certainly iconic in its own way.
Read. Now, switching gears a lot here, we're going to go over to Bernie Wrightson. So
yeah, I tried to, not do too many consecutive things that were the same. I like to have a little variation. I mean, it's not difficult to talk about this cover. I love these Frankenstein plates. Here's a lab scene. Here you have the monster on the table. You have Dr. Frankenstein. I look at the detail in this. I mean, and for some reason it looks like it's raining, but it's beautiful. It's from the Mandel collection.
Yeah, Dave has and had a very nice collection. The more we see of these pieces, amazing. But yeah, this is a great image. Of course, we've seen, well, I can't say several, but over the last 24 months when we've been doing these signature auction previews, you've had a few Frankenstein plates published and a few unpublished, but they're always spectacular to see. So this one's great, and had to be tough to let go by David.
Yes, I mean, just the things he's let go of would be the cornerstone of any major collection. And I'm talking about in the last year and a half, 2 years at the most.
Right. Amazing. Oh yeah. Any one piece would be the cornerstone of many of ours. So yeah, and I know we've got a few Byrne pages in here. So this is the first one of the set. This is from the Proteus storyline, of course, from issue 126. And again, one of the more, and there's a lot of popular Claremont, Byrne, Austin runs throughout that their time together, but the Proteus saga was just one that infused horror and really made the X-Men stand out apart from a lot of the other team books. I feel like when they were doing this, I mean, it was just so out there, and you were really getting to learn a lot more about some of the characters' powers and the kind of foes that they could be up against that just were out of the norm. And
you're absolutely right. You do the best job of talking about these X-Men pages, but we spent a good amount of time last time talking about the Proteus saga and the page we had, and it wasn't that page. Remember, they weren't in battle against Proteus or anything. It was almost like they were doing an exercise among themselves. somebody saw the results, and this page has been buried for decades, and said, "Hey, wait a minute," and they had seen the preview and said, "Wait a minute, I've got a page I think you might be interested in." And I mean, look at this page. This page has got everything going, and it's an action page. You got Wolverine, you got Nightcrawler, you got Storm, and you got Proteus, Mutant X. Great page.
It is. It's only missing Cyclops if I had to put a set of check boxes on it. But other than that,
another monetary plus.
Many would say that, but it does have Wolverine and Nightcrawler. Yeah, they're a little they're not in battle because they're getting beat up. But no, this is a great page. Obviously, it's 60,000 already without the buyer's premium. So they're always going to be highly in demand.
Yeah.
I'm rolling over here. So now we have a trade paperback cover by Mignola. This one's at $82.50 right now.
Yeah, we sold the last one, went for big money, and we were talking about the iconology that was going on in the page, and how Mignola has really developed his style. And I mean, it's another one. It just is great. I don't know what to say beyond it's again, the paperback showcases Hellboy. It's 2010. It's got the great branches. He did a beautiful job of framing this. The graphic design in this page is exemplary. What more can I say than that?
Yeah, it is. Jeff Wedding notes all about the background behind Hellboy. It's a great scene. Yeah, it's a very we're used to tombstones and maybe a little more abstraction in a lot of the Hellboy covers we see, but this one's just chock full of details and things that make this piece very, very entertaining and beautiful.
Yeah. What's this one at?
$82.50 right now. Almost 10 with the buyer's premium.
Yeah, that's cheap. It's gonna go.
All right, then a Wally Daredevil 5 pinup. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't believe this has ever been on the market. This is the pinup page from Daredevil 5, inked by, of course, done by Wally Wood. He's still in the yellow costume, but wow, great shot, full figure. Totally in balance. I mean, he was fantastic. We've got a great interior page from Wood, I believe, from the Stoatman story, issue 8, also in the sale. I don't think I may not have featured that one, but yeah, hey, these things are very rare, and we've just been lucky that we've been getting a nice group of them. Years ago, you couldn't find one at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great, and I like the way he did the buildings. They feel a little bit more like Kirby buildings than Wally Wood buildings.
Exactly.
The right approach, definitely, for this time period.
Exactly. But he's got those Wally Wood touches in the windows that are unmistakable. He was just a master at understanding light and shadow.
Well, this is at 33.5 with the buyer's premium. Bill Keown, Bob McLeod. Boy, Bob McLeod got to ink a lot of talented pencilers.
Yeah.
During this era of his career, he was very fortunate, but skilled. That's probably why he was so in demand by the pencilers and editors.
Hey, again, Dale Keown, and he's another one of the guys that was so popular during that era, and then left to create his own title, of course. And I mean, this is one of the most memorable covers. It doesn't get much more hope than this. It does. And McLeod did a masterful job. Look at the fine detail. It kind of reminds me, Yeah, almost like a British look, one of the British guys inking this page, but it's just beautifully done.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like razor cuts. They're so fine the way it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Wow. Let's see, and then what is that at? 27, 32.5 with the buyer's premium.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go.
Yeah, this is an interesting cover.
Now, what is this from? This is
Amazing Man.
Yes,
Amazing Man, which was one of Miller's favorite titles, and he wanted to make sure that it got a kind of a bump, and so he features in Amazing Man this great Dark Knight image of him dreaming of Batman and Robin, the Carrie Kelly Robin. So you get a great cover image that's as good as any cover in the series, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love the cover, the comics in the bin down there in the lower left too. That's a fun touch for it. No, not bad. Where were we at with that one? 30,000 with the buyer's premium. Well, I guess
and it was only 6 months after the Dark Knight. Yeah, this is 1986. So, you're right there in the right time frame. This is not something done, 20 years later.
No, definitely the right period. Yeah, you're right. It looks exactly like you'd want. Lots of fine detail even in the belt too. So no, he put the time in on this one.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do we have next? Oh yeah. Avengers 78 cover. Buscema, Palmer.
Prime period, Buscema, Palmer, Man-Ape. You've got Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Goliath, Vision. They're stunned to see Man-Ape, raise the beaten bodies of Captain America and the Black Panther. Of course, Man-Ape is one of Panther's key foes, and he crossed over into movies, television, toys, the whole bit. Really dramatic cover, beautifully inked by Palmer. And this period of time, right, the Avengers in the 7 issues in the 70s there you talk about people of a certain age group, that's the only thing that they talk about.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, these are the ones that I was picking up back issues of when I was in my teens, and yeah, I love these, and this is just a fantastic example of both Buscema and Palmer working together at their peak. Palmer, he inked everybody amazingly, but I always loved his work on Buscema, and then maybe Gene Colan second, but Buscema number one, and this is beautiful. Very memorable.
You got it. That's exactly how I feel. Yeah, really nice cover. And I don't think it's over the top. How much is this?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. 31, just over 31 right now. Yep.
Well, 31. It jumped. I don't know. I didn't think it was that high earlier, but hey, it merits it.
Oh yeah. No, well, it's you got some defeated characters in here, but the composition's fantastic, and at the end of the day, yeah, no, it's the right period. So it's got plenty of room to go. Let's see here. Oh, we have another Byrne. This is an Iron Fist page, though, of course, from issue 15, and green inks on this one.
Yeah, and we should let people know we're not kind of running through these. It's because we're trying to keep this to a certain length of time as opposed to a normal preview. So
yeah, hey, if we make it in an hour and a half, that's great. If not, if we're going to 5 p.m. Eastern today, that's all right too, Joe.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, you love the last panel, right? I mean, you get a close up of Nightcrawler plus Iron Fist and Colossus in there. Yeah, this is a great page.
Yeah, Iron Fist coming to an end. Byrne's making the move over to X-Men, so why not have his new team in the last issue of Iron Man, of Iron Fist? I'm sorry, he finds himself in a battle with Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, with 3 outstanding panels of Storm. It's a really nice page, and really, clear lined ink, penciled by Byrne, and really precisely inked by Green.
Yeah, those first 3 panels are
beautiful, flowy
really
line. I mean, no, they did a great job on this book. Yeah,
Tony loves the Storm panels as well. So does Corey. So does number 1 fan, and so do I. And yeah, that's only at 17.5. I mean, it's an Iron Fist page, but you got X-Men and the right era with Byrne and Green working together on it. Then now the Carl Barks painted piece. I mean, these are always
classic Carl Barks cover. We had one last time, and it sold for 100 or more. And this is the classic cover that many people would recognize from Uncle Scrooge #1. That's 4-color 386, the famous Money Lake painting, Just a Poor Old Man, that really set the tone for Uncle Scrooge moving forward and becoming the most popular Disney character as far as certainly in comic books. So this was his first solo comic. He did this several times because, as you could imagine, several people asked him to recreate it. He did every one a little bit differently. Most of the paintings were done between 71 and 73. And this and one other painting considered the 2 best. So Barks always complained because whenever he was asked, he'd say, "Do you know how many coins?" I mean, he had to look how many coins there are in that lake. I mean, you've done art. I mean, could you imagine sitting there? There wasn't any digital copy and paste here. This is an oil painting. Right.
No, it's that's a lot of work, and the whole gag is funny. Them throwing the coin purses out. Yeah, this is. I mean, I'm sure it literally glows on the wall, right? And that's exactly what you want. And I'm sure that's partially what is attractive about the piece. Once you put it up on the wall, I mean, it's going to be a highlight of your framed artwork because it's going to just pop. So it's a wonderful image.
Yeah, these paintings they get absorbed, and it's amazing at these prices they don't come out. So this is I'd love to have this one. I like all of them.
You can't replace them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So exactly. 117 with the buyer's premium already.
Yeah.
All right. So Ingels on this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Roger Hill collection. Graham Ingels. Really, really gory. Really stylized.
Yeah, nice skulls.
7-page story. Again, EC. If you're really looking for, we've got a great Jack Davis story also. But if you're really looking for something that really captures the essence and the tone of these type of, books, quasi-horror, suspense, it's Graham Ingels. I mean, to me, he was the guy.
Oh yeah, no, this is wonderful. I love this. Yeah, no, this is a great and again a complete 7-page story too. It's a 15 now without the buyer's premium.
Yeah, but I mean, Roger had impeccable taste when it came. I mean, he only collected the best of the best.
Mm-hmm. All right, now this is a wonderful FF splash page. Kirby and Joe Sinnott.
Yeah.
Issue 83.
Yeah, what makes this, in the last auction, we had an early FF splash.
That's
and
right.
it was a double oversized. And I mentioned, they were sitting there in the living room watching TV. Remember, Dr. Doom was on the TV, that type of thing. And I said, all the early splashes, the FF aren't doing anything. The way Kirby set up the story was they'd be sitting around almost like a soap opera kind of thing, and either bickering among themselves or complaining about they didn't have the money for the rent or whatever. And but later he starts to make the splashes more dramatic, and this is one of the most dramatic FF splashes. You really got to flip through your books or the reprint books, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And of course, it's Josina inks, and it's a beautiful splash, and it'd be great up on the wall,
Oh yeah, I love the Kirby crackle in the fire. I mean, all of this is just it's perfect, and the classic lettering, title page. Again, it's got everything you want as far as I'm concerned for a piece from this era. Title pages are definitely where it's at. If I had the money, I'd be all over something like this. Where's it at? Just at 30 right now.
Yeah, and it's an Inhuman story, which is very popular. Black Bolt, they're in prison there. Here's another page. I didn't want to repeat myself, so I didn't do it right after the other one, but another Byrne X-Men page is from 125. Go ahead. Yeah. Bill.
Well, I mean, this is when I started reading the X-Men books. So for me, this is just it's a fun storyline where both the team got split up. They thought the other half was dead, and here you are, kind of bringing them all back together in this. And the way Byrne drew the Beast at this point in time, I always appreciated. He felt like an Avenger every time I'd see the Beast in an X-Men book, and it just, I don't know. Again, this is this is right ahead of the Proteus storyline, 125. So just again, what like you said, what more do you need to say about it? We've talked about Byrne X-Men pages a lot, but no, this one's fun. Outside of not having Wolverine in it, it's got everything else you want in a.
Yeah, I mean, it features Beast, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Colossus. And
that's right, and it has Cyclops in there, and it's not even hurting the price or value of this piece.
Everybody,
in it.
The most common, if you ask anybody what was their favorite thing, the millennials in general, it was X-Men from this period, and this is a prime example. That's the best thing you could say.
Oh yeah. And you get Beast saying, "Oh, my stars and garters." I mean, if you want to get a classic line in there from that character, it's here. Let's see. Oh yeah, this was the Windsor-Smith Sienkiewicz Excalibur page from 27.
Yeah, I decided to talk about this because it was an interesting story. We haven't ever talked about it. So this is interesting because Captain Britain was a title that Claremont was asked to create for Marvel European. Marvel had started a line of European comics, and Captain Britain was the title he came up with, and Alan Davis was the primary artist. Marvel decided that they then were going to do Excalibur here, and when they needed fill in because Davis wasn't keeping up with the demand, they had a couple of people, all-stars, fill in, and here's Barry Windsor-Smith, the only issue he did, and inked by Bill Sienkiewicz. I mean, there's an all-star team. 6 pages in this sale from this book, all new to the market.
That's interesting. Did Bill ink over Barry a lot? I mean,
No.
he could have done it a few other times. I just don't even remember any other opportunity that he might have had.
I'm sure it may have been 1, 2 because of the time period, but I don't remember.
I'll have to look that up, but it's nice because in some cases Bill's inks can kind of overwhelm and almost hide the penciler, but you know throughout these panels, the layouts, the way he crops the figures, especially like say in that second panel, this is Barry Windsor-Smith, and you know it when you look at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I really like it. And a lot of the key characters are all in this as well. Rachel Summers, Nightcrawler, Jamie Braddock, on and on. It's a good page. I mean, and the other pages are really good. We have another interesting Barry Smith, that I've never, pages I haven't seen on the market later in the sale. So, we'll talk about that as well.
Okay. All right. This was from Daredevil 166, Miller, Janson.
I say this every time. You got to talk about, when you're talking about the highlights of the sale, now you always have to talk about a Miller, Janson, Daredevil page.
Yeah.
These things just keep, I don't even want to say they're keeping their value, they keep going up in value. And more and more people are jumping on board and collecting them. Great Gladiator page, in a Roman arena, a fight scene, shown from nearly every angle of perspective that you could imagine. He's got a Daredevil fighting Gladiator, which of course is one of his earliest foes, and they mix it up in a museum. So he has the opportunity to make it in a Roman enclosure, very appropriate setting.
Yeah, no, it's a very nice page. Love the composition on this one too. Yeah, and a very memorable issue.
Yeah,
the cover grabbed you. There's, and I think that was on the market sometime in the last few years. But either way, I mean, it's a very nice piece that for me is very nostalgic because I love that issue, and particularly the cover too.
Beautiful.
And it's not going to stop at 13 and a half. I'm certain of that. Oh man, what do we got here? McFarlane from Spider-Man 7 with Ghost Rider.
This is from McFarlane's first year on the title. Spider-Man and the Ghost Rider team up to battle the demon-possessed Hobgoblin. And it's, all heck breaks loose, as is common in some of the better McFarlane pages. It's interesting. I was thinking about McFarlane. I don't remember why I was reading about it, and his ups and downs. And of course, since he started Spawn, has really stopped doing art in general. A little thing here and there, but he's more of a entrepreneur than he is an artist anymore. And so I got to give I was having a discussion with Tom Fish, who many people on this forum know, and he said it. He was spot on. He says, Jim Lee is the Jack Kirby of today, and McFarlane is the Steve Ditko. Limited output, super stylized. You can't mistake him. Huge impact in what he did, and now he's off, in the wilderness somewhere.
Well, he changed his calling. He probably just felt, leading the entrepreneurial life was. Better position for him. You can't fault him. He did do. He's done rather well making the switch. But you're right. In terms of output, I guess we could call him the Steve Ditko of his era. Tom Fish is kind of right, maybe in that regard. But yeah, and the stylized side of things too. But no, this is a great piece. Obviously, just throwing Spidey in there like that. But I just love all the extra detail put into it, all the extra ink work. The backgrounds on this one, and that top panel is really nice as well. Yeah. So where are we at with that? 8888. That's an interesting number to be at right now.
Yeah, and cheap. relatively cheap. I mean, you can't find many McFarlane pages, and McFarlane to me was always trying to prove something because he had such a hard time breaking in, as he tells the story. He sent it literally hundreds of demo pages and kept working harder and harder and harder, and then kept putting more and more into it, and then more drama, more than the webbing, the every little thing he kept adding, and he basically kept trying to prove himself. So it's pretty evident from what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
You do enough of these pages and you go crazy.
Or you start your own.
Maybe company. What happened. It's maybe what happened, to be honest with you.
Let's see here. Was that the only McFarlane in the auction too? I don't recall.
I don't remember if that's the only one. I believe there's a Holt page. Maybe I saw it. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody will look it up quick.
Yeah, I could look after it as well. But so here we have a early Peanut strip. Right?
Yeah, the reason I featured this is you don't often see. This is one of the early. This is the third earliest strip that we've ever offered. This is 1950. And you see how different the characters look. Patty Sherman and good old Charlie Brown. This is going to do extremely well because a lot of people are after the early ones are the rare ones. Very few of those were kept by the museum or by Schultz himself. I apologize for that sound, but using this laptop, every email, even though my emails are off, keeps coming through.
I'm not hearing it. I mean, maybe everybody else is. I'm not hearing anything. So.
Oh, okay.
Nothing to apologize to me for. But no, I love this. I love that. The early Peanut strips are fun, just because we're so used to how he drew them 90% of the time. Seeing these older pieces, it's a throwback to an era that most of us weren't reading the strip. So yeah, I love it.
I enjoyed myself. Yeah.
Just at 9 with the buyer's premium. Now, what is this? Oh, Don Heck, Avengers 32 cover.
This is one of those. Look at what it is. It's Avengers 32 from 1966, a twice up Avengers cover where, having the size and then the size of the character really makes it a great piece for the wall. You got Goliath, Hawkeye, Captain America, the Wasp. This features the Sons of the Serpent. It's just, these just don't come up very often, and this is a part of Marvel history right here.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's twice up too, right?
Yep. And for a Don Heck cover, the inking, honestly, I wouldn't have said it was Don Heck. It's really, it's got a lot more contrast, a lot more spotted blacks in it.
Yeah, no, it's solid and memorable. Sign of the Serpent. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Where are we at there? We're at 27 and a half.
It's amazing. These early covers are not, these should be through the roof.
Well, it's maybe after the holiday, people are laying low. You never know.
Well,
you guys would know better.
In general, Don Heck covers don't bring what a Bronze Age cover by other people will bring.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another example of that. The next item is a great Sikowski Giella Justice League cover. Again, twice up, Batman featured right in the center, and then the great vignettes along the side, all hand drawn, of not only the Justice League, but the Justice Society. So you've got Adam, Batman, the Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, Black Canary, Dr. Fate, Dr. Midnight, Sandman, the Spectre, and Wildcat. A great cover. a checkerboard cover, which a lot of people love that period,
No, it's nice having a roll call on the cover. I like it. Giela's inks are great as always for the Sikowski. And yeah, this one's only at 6.5 right now with the buyer's premium.
Amazing. This is what I'm telling you. The Avengers, of course, I put these back to back because, of course, during this period of time, they're both 1966.
Mm-hmm.
The Avengers is Marvel's answer to the Justice League of America. So you're seeing both ends of the of the candle here.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful pair.
No, I agree. Well,
Are you laughing at my analogy, Nadia?
I am not.
Nadia's laughing at that analogy. I don't know if that's a good reason or bad reason, to be honest with you. That's why I'm giving you the look. Yes.
Maybe Spectrum would have been better than Ingels, but that's okay.
What would have been better?
Spectrum.
Oh, okay. Both ends of the spectrum. Yeah, she's right. Yes, dear, you're right. You're right, dear.
Right. Well, one of these days we'll get Nadia back on camera with us, but no, I hear you, and it's I don't know. It's clearly this is going to be part of the lots on Friday, I imagine, right? Or is
this is in Friday. Thursday is all comic books. I mean,
right.
Again, we'll remind people we switched the format several auctions ago. Mm-hmm. So instead of comics and art being combined on Platinum Night, and then it was just comics, and then you had to come back again to art. Now it's Platinum Comics on the first day, then Floor Comics with the live auctioneer on the first day, and then the second day, Platinum Art, and then Floor Art. Then the next day is comics, and then Sunday is non-floor, the robo auctioneer of all of the art.
Well, I know the art collectors appreciated having 2 days to focus on versus 3, so I think it was a good switch. And so you think about that, really, that it really is a Friday for this piece too. So a lot of these are going to be done on that day versus Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, now Jack Davis. This is a complete 7-page story too.
Now this is unusual because Jack Davis, who was a Civil War freak, he loved everything about the Civil War. He got a chance to write his own story. So you could imagine he wrote this, he penciled it, and he inked it. So he really put a lot into this. Start looking through the different pages and look at the amount of work that's in this story. It's amazing.
I love that whooped. It's just great having it on the art. But yeah, boy, look at that. That first panel, and then the breaking up the 3 panels after that. Oh man, this is great.
I'll let people look at the art, but this is a very poignant story if you take the time to read it. It's about, as we've all seen, a cocky kid who very idealistic, can't wait to go to war, can't wait to start fighting, can't wait to see battle. And sure enough, he gets his wish, and it's not what he thought. He sees people dropping left and right. He sees friends dropping. He can't go back. He's not allowed to go back and help fallen friends. But, he's got to keep moving ahead, and it's starting to get to him until the point where he typical easy. I mean, look at that panel. You can't get away. I mean, come on, you can't get away with it. But based on what I've been saying, you can see how that can really make the point.
Oh yeah, that's a great first.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, that panel is like a book.
It is, yeah.
And boom, his the guy who was his mentor gets it. And then in the end,
Yep. Didn't make it.
He gets it. War is hell. That should have been the title.
Right. No, it's amazing. I mean, Jack Davis, at his peak right here. This is wonderful. 7-page story at just over 13 right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful story.
It's great that a lot of these early EC stories were kept together too. I mean, to have them broken up almost doesn't seem
the only reason is because Russ Cochran got them later in the game relative to other things and sold them as complete stories. And that's the way Bill Gaines wanted it, and that's the way he wanted it. So, people got them, and the people that bought a lot of these, Roger Hill, they were fanatics, EC fanatics, literally. And, they kept them together. That's just a wonderful story. You got the Ingels, you got this Jack Davis. I mean, that collection is just unbelievable. Roger Hill is just unbelievable as a collector. Great guy as well, as we've talked about.
Well, you won't get any arguments from me or the many people that knew him or have heard about him and his collection. Yeah, he's incredible.
By the way, I guess we should mention, I don't know if you heard Keith Fromm passed away.
I did. I was actually I was up in Ohio at Mike's house. I think I heard like 10 minutes after the word got sent out. But I mean, he certainly had has a pretty interesting collection. He was well known in the hobby, and I didn't know him very well. I'd met him a few times at Comic Card Con, maybe New York Comic Con once, but I hadn't seen him in several years.
Yeah, passionate collector. He had his own way about him at times, but he certainly put together a great collection. And I believe it's all up on CAF. I think it's under Bob Kane, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I forget the name. I'd have to go back and look. But that's true. I think the majority of his collection is posted on CAF.
Yeah.
Always a interesting dilemma. Typically, the families reach out at some point and ask me to turn things off after one of a collector passes. So I don't know if I'll be getting any communications like that or not. But at some point, I usually get a reminder from the collecting body, to shut down. I tend not to delete just on the outside chance we need images or things like that, or somebody may come back and need something. But I've had to shut down a few. I actually have never turned off Gene Colan's CAF gallery, believe it or not. He used it a lot early in his career, and I've left it on. I mean, God only knows where his emails are going, but I felt terrible. The family never came to me to turn it off, and I've just left it on because out of respect. He and I emailed a lot, and I got to meet him numerous times at shows before his passing, and I just can't bring myself to do it unless somebody from the estate or something were to ask me to do that. Oh man, but I always forget about that. Once a year, I'm reminded that Gene Colan's CAF gallery is still alive. But so we have a Schomburg, a recreation here with this piece.
Yeah, Alex Schomburg. Again, some of the younger collectors may not know Alex Schomburg, but Alex Schomburg was hired by Simon and Kirby because he was so good at images, busy images. He was meticulous in his line work, and he could paint. He was a noted sci-fi pulp cover artist and sci-fi magazine artist, and he agrees to start doing some of the early timely covers as well as later for other companies following Joe Simon. But this is typical of one of his better covers. This is in the early 80s. He was tracked down by Howard Lowry and out at Collector's Bookstore in California, and they got him to do some recreations. I mean, these are spectacular. They're meticulous, and they're fully painted, fully rendered, just as he drew. He hadn't lost a step. So you've got, this is 18 by 22. You've got the whole, Nazi symbolism. You've got the nefarious death machine, super busy, wonderful colors, World War II classic cover art at its best. I don't know what more I could say about it. This would be just great up on the wall.
Oh yeah, my first price guide was issue 10 with a Schomburg.
Oh yeah.
And so that was kind of my introduction to Schomburg in its own weird way. But
Oh yeah.
that was the first one I ever bought off the shelf.
A lot of us were introduced to a lot of the artists like that on the covers of the early Overstreets.
Yeah, all right. Where are we going from here? Oh, you've got a thing for Fabry. I know you never miss them when they're out there, which is always a good thing. I love his work too. This is obviously a really memorable cover, as most of.
Well, I think maybe just to remind people, almost all the Fabry covers were in the hands of one or two collectors, period, and they sold. So slowly, they've been coming on the market for the first time since they were originally done. He was buying them directly from Fabry. So we've now been averaging probably 4 per auction, and this is going on the 8th or 9th or 10th auction. So these are the best, and these are at the very end. So they're not going to be coming up. And again, once they get sold, they don't seem to come back out again, which is,
Yeah, no, I think they're fantastic. I only read about a couple dozen of the Preacher books. It was okay. I wasn't really my taste, but I did enjoy them. But this is but his covers were the thing that drew people in. They were so well done. They stood out on the comic book shelves, and they still do. And it's been cool seeing them trickle out into the market, like you just said, over the last couple of years.
And the TV series introduced them to a whole new, generation of fans. So yeah, I mean, this is Jesse Custer, gazing out over the Alamo. Yeah, it's great. Very surreal. This is the final story arc of the series, Alamo. It's beautifully rendered.
So there is a second cover too.
Yeah.
From issue 32, and that was issue 59. Okay.
Yeah. So you'll notice there's only 2 in this auction now.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marvel Triple Action, a short-lived but fun, reprint book that always had an interesting cover.
Exactly. It's all about the covers with those books, and having new covers done. This is an Avengers cover. The Avengers, Iron Man, Giant Man, Wasp, Thor face the Masters of Evil, Black Knight, Enchantress, the Executioner, and Hawkeye, and the Black Widow. So
classic Black Widow too.
Gil Kane did the main penciling. Frank Giacoia, the inks, which he was always wonderful with Kane or Romita. And then Romita came back in and did some modifications.
Yeah, no, this is great. So Kane and Giacoia and Romita Sr. Nice. All right, where are we at with that one? 12 and a half.
12 and a half, yeah. They're popular. 1973. I mean, that's early. That's prime. Speaking of early and prime, here's a Avengers #2 page. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great shots of Giant Man, the Wasp, Iron Man, and the Hulk fighting the Space Phantom. 1963, twice up. Jack Kirby. Paul Ryman inks, but there are good Paul Ryman inks and not so good Paul Ryman inks. The best part of this page, aside from seeing how all the little equipment in Giant Man's helmet works, there is Iron Man on his roller skates. I love it.
I agree. This panel alone, it makes it. I mean, I wish he wasn't obscuring the Hulk in the background, but it's still it's worth the price of admission to get him on roller skates. Wow. Hey, and if it stays at $5,100, I'll be happy to bid it to $5,200 and take it. But I'm sure that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I like that page myself.
No, I mean hey, anytime you can get Iron Man in this costume, that's a treat, right? I mean, because there aren't many of them. But yeah, that's cool. And even like you said, that second panel is very, very interesting too, for them to do it. Draws his helmet in that way.
Yeah, I loved it. In the early FF story, they were trying to justify the science. They were taking the time to do all of that. Later on, forget it. But I appreciated that stuff.
Sure. So, hey, before we move on to the next one, Max Raskin, wanted to know if you were to add one piece from this auction that you'd like to add to your collection, do you care sharing what that piece might be?
Well, I mean,
you can only pick one.
Yeah, I know. I like the Jack Kirby cover. I like, because I have an affinity towards Kirby, but Al Milgram's been a friend for 30 or more years. I would love to have that cover. He never got that cover back. That was one of the ones that he didn't get back. I would love to have that cover, for all of the obvious reasons. What would you like, Bill? You're very. You like the page from X-Men 126.
I would take a Byrne X-Men page because I have no chance to replace it otherwise. But if I could dream, that would be what I would do. I would take that one in a heartbeat.
That storyline. I don't know if you were the one that brought it up, but there are several collectors that are avidly collecting that storyline, and it's pushing the price. But the pages around them also go very high. So I guess things get pulled up from the top, as we say so often.
Right. No, I used to own a page from 126. I used to have a page from 135. Yeah. So I would really like to get a Byrne X-Men page in a heartbeat if I had the chance. So yeah, they're out there, but until I hit the $1 billion lottery, that's not going to happen. If he had the money, he would go after the Graham Ingels story from the Roger Hill collection, and that's a good one too. Absolutely, Rich. That'd be a good pick too.
That Jack Davis story is outstanding. I mean, that's a mind-blowing story. Yeah. Here, let's get to something a little bit more mainstream now. Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Uncanny X-Men 272 from the pivotal Extinction Agenda crossover. Shows the X-Men, X-Factor, New Mutants, Marvel Girl, Jean Grey, Iceman, Cable, in bondage. I mean, there's an awful lot going on in this page.
Yeah, definitely. It's this is like prime era for anybody who was reading, X-Men of a certain age. I mean, I kind of stopped just before the Jim Lee era got started, but going back through them and reading them, I can see why these stories made an impact on the ladies and gentlemen reading the books at this time. So fortunately for me, I don't need to scratch the Jim Lee itch, especially on X-Men. Because of that. I mean, I still have it bad, right? I got Byrne, Paul Smith, Dave Cockrum. It's not like it gets any easier. So it's okay leaving, Jim's work out of that. But yeah, these are always, I'm sure when you look at tracked auctions and things, this is probably up there only because there's just so many people who want an example from this run.
Absolutely. Jim Lee's, of the modern guys, is, one of the 3 or 4 guys that are going to always be popular, period. We have a great, I don't think I covered it, at Gen 13, Jim Lee page. That's might even be a double page spread. That's just spectacular as well.
Well, this is a good one, and it's at 21.5. Are we live, Carlos? Well, of course yes, we are live. It's a 3:00 show today. We our schedules necessitated us doing things a little bit earlier today, and we both had time. Joe and I are here. A preview for the auction that technically begins on Thursday, but the art lots start closing on Friday, and there's a session on Friday and a session on Sunday.
Absolutely.
All right, you can't omit a great George Perez Wonder Woman cover. This one's from '88.
Yeah, prime period Perez. This one lacks detail, of course.
Right. I mean, well, what it lacks is just the number of characters in it. But when he's just decided he's going to draw an entire cityscape and literally not miss any of the buildings in it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I could imagine if you were the one. Not only do you have to draw it, then you have to ink it. I mean, look at the number of vertical lines in there.
Yeah, he knew what
he finally doesn't have to put in 700 characters, and he comes back with this.
Yeah, it's a nice effect the way he's got her being attacked here.
Yeah. You've got the energy directed by the golden lasso in reverse. It's by the Silver Swan as we get a great bird's eye view of Boston. Prime period.
It's very nice. And yeah, he actually counted all the people in the windows. This might be the cover with the most characters on it. We just don't know. But yeah, it's great. Composition's fantastic. It's if you're a Perez fan and you're into Wonder Woman, this is a prime example, definitely.
Yeah. We've been coming up with some really good ones, and they're not going to last forever. These covers. Mm-hmm. The only reason that they come out now is, like, as we've said almost every single time, George Perez wasn't up there with everybody, and now he's entered a new complete level of popularity and his price. So now, as the prices have gone up, things are starting to come out of the woodwork finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful cover.
All right, I think you've had maybe one.
We might have to crank it up a little bit, Bill. Okay.
Where are we at now? Oh, it's 10 minutes after the hour. Alex Raymond, Flash Gordon, and a Jungle Jim on the same lot here. As we've seen, you've had a few of these, I think, the last year.
Well, we're lucky as they come from the family. They are complete. They have the matching Jungle Jim. They've never been on the market before. We've never seen these before. Prime period, 1940, Ice Kingdom. Dale captured by Flash. Captured, and Flash and Zarkov are in pursuit. So you get these great spaceship and flying machine scenes. Just beautiful line work, absolute classics. And these are the pillars upon which the entire industry was built. Alex Raymond, Hal Foster. We've talked about it before.
Yeah. I love this panel right here. It's so delicate, but it's beautiful. Man, my goodness, it's crazy how much detail he can get in there with such soft and supple line work. It's just beautiful. And even in the next panel, I mean, it's them from the back with the coats, the fur. I mean, it's so well done, man.
There's no doubt as to what it is. That's the whole point of it. Yeah. People say, oh, he started using models. These scenes are not from models.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And Wally did for some beautiful women and things like that. But I mean, he could draw whatever he wanted. Yeah.
Where are we at with that one? Just over 13.
Yeah, that's gonna, if that doesn't sell for 30,000, 50,000, it's a crime.
We'll find out if there's going to be a police report on Friday. I doubt it, though. So where are we going here? We have a Famous Funnies cover from 53. And
This is an interesting one. When I saw this in the sale, this, for me, a bit of a comic historian, I found this interesting because I recognized it immediately. This is the Famous Funnies cover when Buck Rogers started appearing in those covers. And most people know the Frank Frazetta covers that were from that period. This was supposed to be a Frank Frazetta cover. This is the one where Frank drew the guys on the cliff swinging the club and, knocking them off of that cliff. And when it was presented, they were already starting to get some grief. So they felt it was too violent. So they turned to Mike Roy and they said, we're not going to use that cover, Frank. And they had him do this cover. So Mike Roy, this is the replacement cover as published of that issue. Now later, Frank, who loved that cover and was so proud of it, brought it into the EC offices, and Bill Gaines saw it and immediately wanted it for, what weird science fiction, weird science fantasy, I believe. And he used that cover, and Frank would not let him do it unless he could agreed that he'd give him the cover back. And that was the only time Bill allowed an artist to keep his own artwork and return that cover to Frank.
Wise man. How important that image was and continues to be.
Yeah.
And people cite that as like the reason they got into illustration, right? Because they just seeing that image and wanting to aspire to be able to be as great as Frank, which is pretty impossible. But I mean, that tells you just how impressive the image is, and just the context of the era and how it. Again, you can go back and look at that image today and just be blown away by it. Even the colored versions that he did, with prints, they're all just so striking.
Absolutely. Great story. Well, I don't have time for great stories, but Albert had one of those colored ones, and he says to me, Joe, I want you to bring this to Frank and have him recolor this because it's faded. I said, you think Frank's just going to sit there? He'll do it if you ask him. I said, he's going to scream and yell the whole time. Come on, we're friends. Come on, we're friends. Oh, he was brutal. And sure enough, I brought it. I have pictures of Frank sitting there, and he's complaining the entire time. He's recoloring the entire print.
Well, Albert got his way.
He did, which is not unusual.
No, it isn't. But did you say it was for Albert, or did you say that you had to?
I said it was a big fan. I don't. A friend, more important.
Well, congrats to Albert, and kudos for Frank for doing it, even though he had to complain about it. I don't blame him. You never want to go, well, for a guy who went back over his old work as much as he did, he probably shouldn't have complained. But anyway, like you said, that was a long time ago.
Here's a great Popeye daily. I was when I saw it, I said, wow. You don't see these come up often. This is the 11th daily. Popeye was only 1 year old because Popeye was introduced in Thimble Theater in 1929. And if you go back to that early, that first panel, you see how different he looks there with like the, longer jaw, square, longer nose. And so this is the earliest that we've ever offered. And this is before the strip really became Popeye. Before that, it was the whole strip was really about Olive Oyl and her brother Castor Oyl, and that's who that is. So Popeye had just recently been introduced, and now is starting to become the more popular character. But this is a really historic daily.
Oh, 1930. I was trying to find the date on it.
Yeah. I don't know if people realize Popeye is kind of unique in that people think Popeye began in the the Fleischer animated series. Popeye began in comic strips, then went to the series that early on, and then became a phenomenon.
Right. And this is January of 1930.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
This is also in the vein of those early covers we talked about earlier. This is a really nice Kurt Swan Action Comics cover from 1964, Twice Up. Features, Superman and Ziggy and Zaggy, the juvenile delinquents from Alpha Centauri. These were great from that period of time, like Bixiplik, where people pulling pranks on Superman was popular, and these guys had super gimmicks. Again, you don't find many, oversized early Kurt Swan covers. Absolutely classic.
Yeah, it is a Kurt Swan Superman, unmistakable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. And again, early, it's at just over 5. So, yeah.
To a generation a little bit older than me, this is their absolute grail because, their prime collecting period, you didn't have Marvel Comics yet. So those that collected from the late 50s, like the EC stuff, to the early 60s, Marvel wasn't around till 61.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why there was a whole generation that absolutely would take this over anything,
Yeah, I agree. Let's see here. What do we got now? Is this it's a single page to
love this. I love it. Wally Wood sitting at the drawing board.
Yeah, that first panel. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
For those that don't know, you got to go back and look up a story called My World, which Wood did for EC Comics, where the first thing he says, my world is one of dinosaurs. My world is one of science fiction. My world is one of strange creatures. My world is one of this. My world is one of this one. And he goes the whole story with beautiful panels depicting. He says, because I am an artist and my name is Wood. And he's sitting there at the drawing board just like that. It's just absolutely one of the classics. So here we are in the Marvel era, and you have Wood doing himself at the drawing board. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And you've got all the detail in the background of that, like the skull, the spider webs. Yeah, I mean,
the hand grenade.
Yeah, I mean, come
and
on.
A cat. I love it. And a pack of smokes too.
Well, unfortunately, he had one too many of those.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's with the space helmet too. I mean, all of this. It's a great throwback page. I love it.
Oh yeah, all of his props, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, so we had to look at that.
Right. I mean, just again, look at the price at it right now. We were just looking at DC covers that were 20 years older, or 15 to 20 years older than this, and this piece is higher than that. It just shows you how at least significant from a Wally Wood fan's perspective this page is, because he's drawn himself into the story. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
So here's an interesting. I said we had another interesting Barry Windsor-Smith group of art. Wildstorm Rising was a title which was a crossover published by Image / Wildstorm that involved the entire line of titles published by Wildstorm in 1995. So you had the entire Wildcats team, Voodoo Void, Spartan, Zealot, Grifter, Maul, Warblade, on and on appear in the panels, which concludes the first issue of Wildstorm's first crossover. So this is issue 1, and we have, I think, 6 pages from this book.
Yeah, that's those first 2 panels are fantastic. Let's see.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a nice page too.
Oh yeah.
3rd splash.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. I didn't read that book, but the art's fantastic in it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Barry Smith fan, come on. And we've got some mainline. I think we have an early Conan cover. We definitely have an early page in the sale.
Another Excalibur page there. What was that? No, that's okay. No, you do have a decent selection of work by Mr. Smith in this one, that's for sure.
None of it's ever been on the market before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what do we got? We have a Superman Man of Steel cover, and it's Bogdanov and Janky.
Yeah. And again, I think we've got a couple of those in the sale as well. I picked this one. This is the Sky Pirates because it's kind of cool. It lives up to its name, Superman dueling with the swashbuckling freelance. Rendered by the then, super team. And, these books, that was part of the huge, talk about a popular period that exploded into a bubble.
That is true. Yeah, I was just going to mention it. The Marcus mentioned it in the chat, the mullet. It's a classic amongst Superman collectors. They can get it. They want to have at least one mullet page in their collection. Good cover though. Really compositionally very nice. Sky Pirate.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. A lot of detail, beautiful line work. Beautifully inked.
All right. Now, Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, I picked this because of this is so reminiscent of Elektra Assassin, which is so popular. You could see that style and yeah. I mean, it's really, really a nice Sienkiewicz piece. Beautiful piece to have up on the wall.
Yeah, that Elektra cover has been homaged a few times by Bill and a few other artists, right? Just know it when you see it because it's such a classic original image. But no, this is very, very nicely done, and it's already at 5 plus the juice, right? So 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he really, really was working out the. I mean, he's a master of the colors. You have all these blue, these cool tones. The blues, the purples, all of that in the gun and in her. And then you go down to that sword and you see that because everything else is that, then the blood red really stands out. The collar framing her face and then, the blood dripping off the sword. And it just adds to the drama. Of course, he's got the, composition, this little girl holding this monster. gun. You got to. She was smart enough to pick up the gun. Nothing drives me more crazy than in these shows. Somebody knocks out the crook and he's been shooting at them. They leave the gun behind. Pick the gun up.
Right. Don't leave them with the weapons. But yeah, no, this is great. Well, the original cover that from Electra was always kind of they had the same challenges. But no, I think this is great, and better to have Bill doing it than anyone else. But yeah, I love it.
And Bill is hot, so I thought, again, just adding some diversity.
All right, let's see. What are we doing next? Oh, it's an Adam Hughes, if I recall, right?
Yeah.
Cover
I have
here.
to include. Adam Hughes Vampirella covers. They're so popular, and they go for, a lot of money. And this is one of the better ones. Beautiful, sexy,
Plenty of
wonderful.
skulls. Yeah, what was this? 96, right? Is that what I said? I have to go back and look at my notes here. I think that's right. Yeah. No, that's a nice early Hughes cover.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love the
We've
way
seen it. There's been a few Hughes surprises.
A testament to Adam Hughes' mastery of evocative composition. That's a nice way of saying he can do a sexy girl.
Yeah. Well, she's breaking free though, as you can see. She's already busted one. She's on it. Well, she's busted them both. She's totally out of it. Yeah. No, it's a great image. It's it just had the header in it. Okay. One extremely late Vampirella cover. Adam always keeping it real, keeping it fun.
Yeah.
So we got a Darwin Cook, Mike Allred, Catwoman DPS from 23 years ago. Yeah, that's very nicely done. Allred and Cook together were a good combo, clearly.
This is, obviously, Catwoman is the DC version of the Black Cat. Same type of thing where at one point she was a villain. She's a romantic interest. She's been around a very long time. I believe she dates back to what is it? It could be Batman #1, and then she kind of went away for a number of years, and then came back again, and featured in that series Gotham and in the movies. So. And Darwin Cook, Mike Allred. That's some combination and double page spread. What am I going to say?
It works great. It really does.
Yeah.
I saw, mentioned, highlighted the comment from Rich about Darwin coming up with that costume design too. That's true.
True. Yeah, she's been reinvented several times. That's what's great about these females. Well, all of them. Sometimes you play around with costumes, but they seem to do it a lot more with the female antagonists, and it just gives them a whole new chance to recreate the character.
As much as I love Mike Allred's pencils and inks on himself, he's inked a few pretty prominent creators, Cook and Dragotta, and a few others, and he always does an excellent job doing that.
He's got those sharp ink lines, and he's, if you want somebody to be able to do the film noir version of it, he does a beautiful job. Yeah, we were talking about an early Conan page. Here's a page from Conan 10. Beautiful work by Barry. Scroll down to that Conan in the bottom panel. Yeah, that's unmistakable Barry Windsor-Smith.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to understand why he made the choice to put that really thin panel up in the first row, but it works really well. But you're absolutely right though. As far as Barry Windsor-Smith image, you get in Conan in the last two panels, that's as classic as you can get. And this is Sal Buscema inks too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just helps with the way he chose to handle the story with
The
that
storytelling,
panel.
of course.
Yeah, it fits so well. Yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah.
We have almost at 5 with this one. This is from Conan 10.
Yeah. 1971. First year, right? Well, did Conan come out 70 or 71? Around then.
I think 70.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's great. Oh, now we have another John Byrne page. It's not X-Men though.
I did this for your buddy.
Oh, for
Alberto.
Alberto.
Gives me grief all the time. And here's, you got a nice Byrne Captain America page, and he's going to say, you have one in the sale. You didn't even feature it. There you go.
Well, he's busy working at his day job, I'm sure, right now. But he'll be happy that we highlighted it. That's
Wow, he didn't even show up. That's the last time I do this.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll be in the next one, and he'll remind you that you said it was the last time. But of course, it was a short-lived run for Byrne on Cap, but very memorable. I mean, the artwork was just great. The stories were fantastic, and yeah, this is a good page.
Yeah, I think we have 6 consecutive Byrne lots, from Fantastic Four to New Mutants to the Wolverine. If you go to the, scroll above, yeah, some really.
Another FF. Another FF, yeah. Well, what's that over here? Yeah, that's an early Byrne from Marvel Preview. That's nice.
Yeah, some nice Byrne stuff. So that's one of the reasons I picked it. I had to pick one of those, and I decided to
go with the Cap.
Somebody happy. It is close to the holidays,
Of course. Well, we'll expect Alberto to leave a comment after the show for us.
Exactly.
Okay. So
here's a nice combination. Buscema inked by Neil Adams.
Oh yeah, very nice. Shadows there on that last panel are so well done.
Yeah, and because it's Savage Tales, they use the wash instead of the color, and it gives them the opportunity to really, like you say, create these beautiful, moody scenes. These are really ink paintings.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I don't always like Adams, inking. It seems to get confusing. This is beautifully done. I mean, come on.
Well, even Corey Rust, crazy good. Yeah. No, this is a beautiful page.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, even look at the first panel, just handling the lighting with them in front of the fire. I mean, yeah, that's a very desirable page. It's at only at 2,000 right now too.
Yeah. No, you have to put something reasonable. And then the final piece in the watch it. So we ran 5 minutes over. We're okay.
Yes, we are. Kurtzman, Two-Fisted Tales, 26 cover from 1952. 73 years old.
Yeah. Harvey Kurtzman, we talked about it last time. We had that Mad cover, with the where he with the poem and pretty avant-garde for the time. But what was Kurtzman most known for is his Two-Fisted Tales, his war covers. He was so stylized and so moody and can convey real grit, It was, noir, chiaroscuro type of art. And yeah, this is the reason you look at that and you see why he's considered the father of underground art, because so many of the underground artists gravitated to his work.
Yeah, no, I mean it's beautiful. It's funny. It harkens back to some Miller covers where he would use the same red line technique for snow or whatnot, and it's just fun kind of thinking about that cover and then looking at this piece. Yeah, no, Kurtzman's amazing, and just having it looks like all the stat work is original too, which is just makes it even more special. Wow, this is very
And
nice.
of course, his art is scarcer than virtually any of the other artists. And he didn't go on to, I mean, Little Annie Fanny and stuff like that. He was really the editor behind the scenes, but he wasn't the main artist. He was the designer, the writer, and all the rest.
Well, that's a good one to end things on today, Joe.
Yeah.
So you're going to be watching. I'm sure you're going to be watching on Friday when these lots first start dropping.
Of course. And if anybody needs to get in touch with me beforehand or afterwards, depending on if you're buying something, you need any advice or an evaluation so that you know where you stand, you know how to get me, joem@ha.com. The next deadline, Nadia, when's the next deadline? February 11th. So there's time after the sale. We've got some time to get the material in, even though it's always better earlier. We could promote it earlier. We could do a better job for you as far as putting it up early, getting some eyeballs on it.
Now, I just, for confirmation, because we didn't have a chance to talk about this before the show started, you and Nadia are not going to be at OAX later this month?
I have not confirmed that. It's the 15th, right?
No, it's the
25th, right?
24th, 25th, and 26th.
Yeah. Do you think we could still get a hotel room?
Believe it or not, I'm a little surprised that for whatever reason, it seems to be like a slow weekend at Universal Studios, because last year we were booked solid, couldn't squeeze anybody in by mid-December, but there's still, and the show is occupying far more rooms than we had last year. So you can still get a room at the
well, I mean, you've heard already that Halpern's going and Todd's going and a couple of other people going. Because Halpern's going, I might not want to go. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Come on. Well, it's I leave it to you, but we would love to have you both there if you can make it. Obviously,
yeah. We'll try.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, hey, look, going to Florida in January is not a bad thing. I mean, right now where we are, it's about 20 degrees. It's snowing.
I was in Ohio for the holidays, so I understand. I'm happy to be back here in Central Florida, but yeah, keep me posted. I do hope you can make it. And if you certainly can't, 2026, these years go by fast. We'll start asking for you guys to be at that one.
I feel like we just did this and we've just done another one.
Exactly.
And now I'm talking about the deadline for the next one.
All right. Well,
again, hey, I do have to say, I did like the format of the last review.
Yeah, we had fun with that one.
Because they're right. People want to hear about you did a little of both. Some of people's favorite items, but then at least you hit some of the big items and, what you may have speculated about them, but obviously the results, because there was a lot of eye-opening results that people wanted to hear about.
And it's always interesting to hear, which pieces they picked up too. They don't always reveal that, but and I certainly don't know. We don't pre-discuss the pieces that they pick, but I don't know. I think it's enjoyable because it gives a collective perspective on what they were looking at, why they chose to get it, and you can't always do that when you're trying to do a recap on a show. That's rare, but to have the collector actually talk about what was significant and what was the reason, sway them to go all in for that piece.
Yeah, I agree. It's always a little better to have someone who actually has, a little money in the game, so to speak, as opposed to someone saying, "Oh, this should have gone much higher. Oh, this was a steal. Oh my God, that somebody so overpaid on it." Well, if you had nothing to do with it,
Well, no, I agree. I completely agree. Well, we'll be doing it again. I've got it scheduled. I haven't talked to the guys yet, but I know that I think we're doing it next Tuesday evening. We have a recap scheduled.
Oh, okay, Tuesday. It's unusual. It's usually Thursday.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to keep this month light because of OAX with in terms of doing the doing special interviews and whatnot, especially leading up to the show. So I wanted to just do a dedicated show for it. It just makes me not have to worry about trying to book somebody to do a collector interview in the lead up. There's plenty of time starting February 1st onward to do more of those. So yeah, we were going to do it on Tuesday next week.
Okay. Good. Okay, I'll be looking for it. All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. And for those that, watch this after the fact, thank you also. Always appreciate it. And if we can help, please let us know.
Yep, you see Joe's email address right there, joem@ha.com. Got a
question? We appreciate the support. We appreciate the loyalty, and let's keep it going.
Roberto, I'll end things with, are there any more? I think we have one, maybe two other artists to announce, but by and large, we are complete outside of one or two artists that we still have yet to get listed on the website and properly announce. Although there will be a mailing going out that actually mentions one of those artists' names, although we haven't formally announced them yet. But I won't say any more than that. But yes, if all goes well in my edits, we will be revealing the poster art auction as soon as I'm done here. I kind of had an email that I created to get approval from the team right before the show. I expect to get any edits or not edits and get that out in the next 30 minutes. So be looking for that. Yes, poster art reveal momentarily. I think everybody will be thrilled to see the combination of artists that we put together on this one. Very fun. And I think it's a very desirable piece. Cool. All right, Joe, take care of yourself. Say hi to Nadia.
I will. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Bill.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right.